Hello and welcome to Mastering Microsoft Power Query video series. This is video number 9. In this video, we are going to understand what is unpivoting columns in data transformation. Without much ado, let's get into the Power Query editor. Let's understand this process. So this is the Excel file we are going to load into the Power Query editor, and we are trying to understand what is unpivoting columns. Now let me take you through quickly about the data set what we are looking at. This is the data which explains what is the production cost we have encountered every quarter in every year. It's a kind of a CSV format, comma separated value format. We have to load it and we have to split the columns and we have to bring it into a pivot table, and then we need to see every tire wise for every quarter what is the total production cost in every year, so that I can do year on year comparison, quarter to quarter comparison. At the same time, I would also love to see the total cost occurred for all the 4 quarters for every tire. So keeping all these into consideration, let's go ahead and load this data into the Power Query editor, and let's check out how this is going to turn up for us to solve our requirement. So I'm going to close the input file and I'm going to open a blank Excel to start with. So we're going to go to the data tab, then get and transform data group, get data, then we go to launch Power Query editor. So once the Power Query editor is launched, we're going to go to the new source file, Excel workbook, which takes me to the file which I want to load it. This is the file which I want to load it. So I choose that and say import, and the file gets loaded and it's asking which sheet you want to take it. My data is available in the first sheet, so I want to select that and click OK. Now the data is loaded. I'm going to the applied step and I'm going to get rid of the change type because right now we don't need it. Once we complete all the transformations, we can get that in place. So I'm going to get rid of the change type. So the first thing I want to do is split these guys into multiple columns. So I go to the Home tab, under the Transform, I go to the Split column by delimiter, and it automatically recognizes that my data is separated by the delimiter comma, and I want to split this for each occurrence which is already chosen. I'm going to click OK, and it's done its work, but I'm going to check on the right side to get rid of this change type guy again. All right, so the column has been split. Now I'm going to promote the first row as header again by going to the Home tab, under the Transform group, use first row as header. Now if it has done the change type, I'm perfectly fine with it because that's what I'm looking for to get the process completed. All right, so the data is somehow in the way I want to have it. I'm going to load this into Excel as a pivot table. I want to produce a comparative table so that it helps my finance team and the planning team and the production team to know what's happening. All right, so let's go ahead and rename this query, and I'm going to say the raw converted data. All right, so let's go and close and load to, and that takes me to the Excel. And it's asking me what way you want to put this. I want to put this into a pivot table format. So I'm going to choose that and I'm going to click OK. And I've got my pivot table. Let's get my field list here. So what's the requirement? I need to get the tire model on the row section. So we're going to go ahead and drag the tire model, put it in the row section. Because we want to compare this year on year, we want to take the year and drop it in the column. And the rest of the production cost, I want to just bring it into the value section. But this makes my pivot to go something like this, which ideally I don't want to see it something like this. I want to make it a little more legible and easy for understanding. So I'm going to go ahead and get this sigma values from the column section, drag that and drop it in the row section. So this becomes pretty neat while understanding it. So this is perfectly fine for me. Now let me go to the design tab. I want to have it like a tabular form. Perfect. Now I think outline is better. Yeah. Now we got the production cost for each quarter, for each tire model, for each year. But what I'm missing out here is the total of all these 4 quarters I wanted. So basically you might be thinking we just need to turn on the subtotal. But if you go to the bottom of this pivot table, let me take you to the bottom of the pivot table. The subtotal is already turned on and we are seeing it over here. Or you might think it's a grand total. Let's take this and click inside the pivot table. Let's go to the design tab and let's go to the subtotal. And let's say I want to see it at the top of each group. So when I click, you can see there's nothing is happening. Probably I would love to see it at the bottom of the group. Nothing is happening. Even if I turn it off, nothing is happening. So I'm not able to see the tire wise total here. That is something which is missing. So if that is possible, then it's amazing, because that is something I'm looking forward for my team to understand this report better. Because year wise, if they could get the total over here for each year, for all the 4 quarters put together, if they can see it over here, then it's better, because this total doesn't make a sense for me. This grand total doesn't help. Okay. So I'm not able to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my Power Query editor and I'm going to do some difference over here in the data set and come back to the pivot table, and the magic will happen after that. So the problem why it is not happening right now, because your production cost, the quarterly production cost, is kept as columns, and I'm going to get them into rows to achieve that, because this production cost, Q1 production cost, Q2, Q3, Q4 production cost, these are not items, these are actually columns which are holding the values. So I'm going to do that conversion. Let me help you out in giving the clarity by going to the Power Query editor. So right click and I'm going to go to the edit, and we are back again in the Power Query editor. Now what I'm trying to say is these are actually headers, but I want this Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 production cost, the text as one of the column here, so that when they are as items or the data in a column, then I can generate subtotal in pivot table. So watch out what I'm trying to do here. So basically what we are trying to do here is we are trying to convert these columns into rows. That is what basically unpivoting means. So unpivoting means you're converting a column structured data into a row structured data. The vice versa is nothing but pivoting the data. So the last video, what I've shown you is the one which was present row wise, we converted them into columns. Now we have the other way this time. We have column wise data and we want to put them into row level. So what I'm going to do is whichever I want to put it into row level, I want to select them. So in this case, these are the 4 columns which I want to put it in the row wise. I select them and I go to the transform tab, because I don't want to add any new column. I want to do some change on the selected column itself. So I go to the transform tab and I go to any column section, and here I have unpivot columns. When I click the downward arrow, I got 3 choices: unpivot columns, unpivot other columns, unpivot only selected columns. So I'm going to go for the choice only selected columns, unpivot only selected columns. So the moment I do it, I want you to see what's going to happen for these 4 columns. Okay, that 4 column has become 1 column, and then every quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, they have been converted and brought it as a rows now. Okay, so all I have to do after this conversion is done, all I have to do here, go over here where it says attribute, and I'm going to say quarters, and I go to the next one where it says value. I'm going to say production cost, and once I have done that, I'm going to go ahead and close and load this back into my Excel and trying to use this to achieve my requirement. So let's say close and load back to Excel right now. And you could see that the pivot table has taken a kind of a change here. The values have vanished. Let's go to the pivot table field list on the right side. So out of these two, I go to the next icon, pivot table fields. Now what I'm going to do, drag the quarters and drop it right below the tire model. So you can see the structure has come like this. Now, the last time what we saw was values, because those were actually columns, and it was showing you that you are handling the values of the column. But this time we have a column called quarters, in which we have values like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 production cost. The text is there with us. Now what I'm going to do is take my production cost, which is a single value column in my data set. I'm going to drop it in the value section. So now this is what we had last time also, but what was missing for us in the last time, we were not able to get the subtotals for each tire, meaning for all these 4 quarters, what is my total? So that's what I want to see it at the top of each for the tire models. So let's go to the design tab again and the subtotal again. This time I want it on the top of the group. So the moment I click, bingo, watch it, we got what we were looking for. This is the one which I was actually looking for. So I want my quarter-wise production cost for each tire model for each year, so that I can do comparative study year-wise, at the same time quarter-wise, and I'm also seeing the totaled value for those 4 quarters for that year. So 2021 4 quarters total production cost is given to me here. So I can even compare quarter of 2 different years. I can see all the quarters cost of 2 different years. All are possible for me. So the scope is much more available for us right now. So this has happened because we did that unpivoting, which was converting the columns into rows. Remember, it's whenever you want to convert a row wise captured information into column wise, then you will go for pivoting the columns. If you want to convert a column wise captured information into row level, then you will go for unpivoting. And that is what pivot and unpivoting process in Power Query Editor. With which we have come to the end of the video. I hope you guys have got a good understanding about what is unpivoting and how does that add value to the process during the data transformation and when you're trying to get it back into Excel for further analysis. So we'll meet again with another interesting input in the next video. Until then, take care of yourself. Signing off, Hariharan.